Hello there YouTube, it's the Rogue Gem player and coming at you with a new Ice Barrier deck profile using support from the new Battles of Legend Terminal Revenge. So I've got the cards, why not bring it out. It changes quite drastically from the last profile I showed you a while back, to the point where it's almost unrecognizable, and it plays a couple of new cards, to the point where you can theoretically make a pretty good competitive deck out of this. So to start with, we're playing 3 copies of Revealer of the Ice Barrier. This is one of your best cards. This is one of your 1-card starters. This gets into everything in your deck. You're going to be doing all kinds of things in order to kind of establish a board. You can make Bahamut Shark Toad along with a 4-card draw in the same turn because of the way the deck is built. So, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, three of those. We're then playing 3 copies of Speaker for the Ice Barrier. This is another. This is an extender. Also, it's part of your combo now, to the point where you're going to resolve both of its effects in the same turn, because you're going to use the token effect as well. So, and then we're playing 3 copies of Georgius or whatever. He's a level 6 tuner. He's one of the new cards. So the first effect is while you control another Ice Barrier, your opponent cannot activate the effects of monsters in the graveyard, so no graveyard effects. Also, when you control an Ice Barrier monster, you can special summon this card, and then when summoned, you can, if this card is normal or special, you can special summon a level 5 or lower Ice Barrier from your hand or graveyard. So this allows you to extend to your level 10 very easily. In fact, you will need access to your level 10 in order to really play this deck. And then for the new cards, or one of the new cards, the best card in the entire deck, Mirror Mage of the Ice Barrier. So what this card does, okay, is you contribute 1 other effect monster to special summon up to 3 Ice Barrier tokens, and if you do, increase this card's level by the number you summon. So if you summon the max 3, it becomes level 6. The reason why this is important is because you can make all kinds of synchros. It does lock you into water synchros for the rest of the turn, so keep that in mind. That's why we play a lot of synchros in this deck compared to other variants, because it locks you the moment you use that effect. And then when it's sent to the graveyard in any way, you can add an Ice Barrier card that is either banished or in your deck and add it to your hand. So this is actually pretty cool. It is an Aqua monster. You will be seeing this splashed in because it is kind of one of those, hey, let's, splash this in, and like in Sprite and stuff like that. The last major 3 of is 3 Prior of the Ice Barrier. This card, in my opinion, is kind of bad. But with the new support and just the way the deck is operating now, you can kind of justify playing 3 copies of it because you're not actually going to special it from hand, which I think is pretty cool. You're actually going to be bringing it out from the graveyard to res a monster or get other advantage. So, and then for kind of the one-ofs, we're playing 1 copy of Hexa, which is the level 1 tuner that can dump a monster. If you don't have Mirror Mage, this is the card that gets you to it. And then the 1 copy of General Wayne of the Ice Barrier. You can actually res this with Georgius and get a search off of it. Or in the rare event that it is in your hand, you can still get it out of your hand. You could play other things like Spellbreaker and stuff like that. Those generally will go into the side. Warlock, things like that, that can be summoned off of the new synchro. You can play it if you'd like. It is completely up to you. And then for the extra deck, for the non-engine, we are playing 3 copies of Ash Blossom because it is the best generic hand trap. We're then playing 2 Ghost Spell, 2 Ghost Ogre for Tempai and other random stuff that uses the graveyard. And then the 1 copy of Effect Veiler. This is mainly in here for Crossout Designator. So, but these can really be anything you want. Just keep that in mind. For spells, we're playing 3 copies of Medallion. This is the new alt art that was released Add an Ice Barrier from deck to hand. That's simple as it. It basically makes the deck really, really searchable. Like there's a lot of 1.5, 1.5 card combos because you do need a discard for like Revealer and such. 3 copies of Freezing Chain. It is your Monster Reborn for the low levels. You can resurrect anything. If you summon, if you put Dump Mirror Mage, you can bring it back. And it's easily, it's easily searchable. We're then playing Winds Over the Ice Barrier. This card is, I've seen people play one of it. Some people play none of it. This card is actually really, really broken, and the fact that you can summon 3 monsters with 1 card means you can always have access to high level synchros that can give you more advantage, that type of thing. So it's actually pretty important that you actually play that. Also, it kind of recurs a monster if you need to. It is a free recursion. And then 3 copies of Crossout Designator because I don't like hand traps being played against me, and then 1 Call by the Grave because the same thing, no hand traps. And then we're playing 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence because it is the it's better in most cases because Call by can't stop it. Crossout is literally the only way to really stop it unless they have an Omni Negate. So that's that. Now for the synchros, it's going to be from lowest to highest. But the first thing you're going to have to realize is that this deck, some of these are mandatory to play, and others are kind of just super flexible. You have to keep in mind that Revealer, Mirror Mage lock you into water monsters for the turn, so you have to keep that in mind. Mirror Mage is even more restrictive, locking you into water synchros for the rest of the turn, so keep that in mind. So the first one is Brionac, the magical ice dragon. It's basically on summon you discard to bounce, and then when it's special summon from the graveyard you discard to bounce. Which is, you know, it's a water synchro that you can kind of play whenever you need to. The original Brio, you can discard any to bounce that mini. Coral Dragon, you actually are using it with Crocosaur to draw 4 cards. I'll kind of explain some of the other cards you need for it. No level 7s. You are playing the 1 copy of Dragite and the 1 copy of White Aura Whale. Because you're playing water monsters, you kind of this is a Lightning Storm on all attack position monsters, and then Dragite is an Omni Negate, which I think is pretty cool. And then Crocosaur. Crocosaur. That's OCG naming in case people are wondering. The 1 Trishula. You actually can synchro this, or you summon it off of the new synchro. Gamir and Chenying for kind of like other like generic stuff. That's water as well. And then the original, the new Trishula Zero Dragon that floats into the original Trishula if you need it. But for kind of the newest and probably one of the most broken cards is Lancia, the Ancestral Dragon of the Ice Mountain. This card is broken. Once per chain, you can summon an Ice Barrier when your opponent special summons a monster. It floats into any Ice Barrier synchro and treats it as a synchro summon. So you can go into this Trish, okay, if they're going to blow up your board multiple times, and then or float into the other one to pull cards out of your opponent's hand and field and grave. So it punishes your opponent for getting rid of it. Is the best way to explain it. And then we're playing Bahamut Shark Toad. This is part of the combo that you're gonna make Toad in the combo, and then you're gonna use the Bahamut Shark to make Coral Anemone, which brings back the Mirror Mage, and then you use the Mirror Mage on the Coral Anemone to summon the tokens, and then you kind of synchro ladder up into what you need. It's actually really, really cool that way. And then the last card is the World Dragon Zelantis. I think it's a pretty good card. It's a Link 4 that you can kind of play in the event that you don't trigger the Mirror Mage yet, but you kind of just, you know, because of the way. So the way how Xenolocks work, if you're under a Xenolock because you are summoning the monsters back, Zelantis can nuke your opponent's board if they don't have any water monsters. So it's actually kind of cool. So But yeah, that's the deck, guys. The deck is way more consistent. It has a lot more power and explosiveness that makes the deck way more relevant. It's not like top tier meta status, but it is like a rogue deck people can play now that shows a lot of it proves that even stupid dumb decks or stupid dumb archetypes can eventually get good. Now this deck has a lot of plays that normally, because of the fact that they had 2 waves of support, makes them really relevant. So thank you for stopping by, guys. Comment, rate, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.